If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but are none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. To support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And to bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. That I will obey. The orders of. The President of the United States. And the orders of. Those officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.
We've caught them all. Good evening, friends. How is everybody tonight? Kind of a powerful opener there with a few different videos. And as a matter of fact, so I started with the if video, and Rev DQ actually inspired me to include that as a part of tonight's opener because he had posted this in response to one of my posts about Trump going to those games. And so he put that if poem right on an image of Trump. Awesome meme, Rev. Awesome meme. So all the words to the if are posted there. And you can go on my Telegram channel and see that, or find Rev DQ. I'm sure he posted that, probably. I don't know. I have to go see, but I'm sure he's posted that like on X and True Social maybe. Anyway, awesome meme, awesome opener. And maybe I'll go, I'm just going to show you a couple of other pictures before I get completely started and introduce the show. This too, like Trump with the military. So a lot of what we're talking about is Trump's plan, and a lot of that includes the military, and that is why I included these. And this. So who posted this one in chat? Shoot, I don't remember. I think maybe it was Red or somebody else. But I believe this is Deneen's favorite photo of Trump. So not sure if you're watching, Deneen, but I thought of you when I pulled this one up. Anyway, welcome to Questions Worth Pondering, everybody. This is a show where I pose a lot of questions related to current events, historical events, and politics in general. So I'm your host, Nevs, if you're just joining us for the first time. And tonight, our question worth pondering is, were Elon, RFK Jr., and Tulsi Gabbard part of the plan all along? We'll delve into that. But before we start, I just want to ask, for you to consider supporting me. You can go to, I meant to get my banner ready here. Here's where you can find me, linktree/NevsTV. You can also follow me on X at NevsTV, Truth Social at Nevs, and Telegram, Nevs Channel. And just be sure to share this video with others and give it a thumbs up. The more thumbs up it gets, the more it gets shown to other people. So we've got most folks that chat on Rumble, but I am airing on YouTube and X as well. So if you post a comment on either one of those platforms, I will see your comment. So we have in chat, Little Wolf, congratulations. Little Wolf got married last weekend. And congratulations, you are a married woman now. Beautiful pictures that she shared on Telegram. And we've got Carrie. And we've got In God We Trust. And I see a bunch of other people, but I'm not seeing who's there. So say hi in chat. I would love to know that you're joining us tonight. So let me just do a little recap because this is part 2. And last week we just set the context because when we asked the question, is Elon, Tulsi, and RFK Jr., have they been a part of the plan all along? My question got sparked in the funniest way. And let me turn off my phone. Yeah, my question got sparked in kind of a funny way, but I posed that question to myself, so I just started looking, and that's what made me want to do this show. But for some of the context that I set last week, we talked through how Trump talks about the generals all the time, the great generals, how he talked about Chinese tariffs back in 2012, how General Kellogg, one of the generals that he has in his administration now for 2024, how he was an advisor to Pence, and how Badlands Media, like John and Kyle and Burning Bright, were talking about. John had pulled up his testimony, General Kellogg's testimony, and John never followed Q while it was happening. I think he's probably learning about it now a lot, obviously, based on a lot of the people that he works with. But it was interesting because General Kellogg mentioned the Socratic method and how they use that to figure out what comms are going to go out, and that it's also ultimately driven by Trump. But there's a lot of little pieces to put together to know that there's likely has been a plan for a long time to drain the swamp. And one of the other things I want to mention before I get started with all the content around the three folks I'm going to cover tonight is that a lot of this plan that we talk about comes from the Q drops. And if you follow mainstream media, fake news, they will say that there is a Q group. There's not a Q group. There's just people who read the Q drops and worked together, collaborated to do research. They'll also tell you that people that read the Q drops and followed all of the stuff that came out from that are people who believe the government is a cult of pedophiles who like to drink the blood of children. I just want to clarify one thing, because mainstream media uses those extreme descriptions to try to make the movement look bad. And I want to set the stage, because this is going to set the context too, just for the plan in general. So no, Q, we don't know who Q was, but there was a group of people who posted questions. They just posed questions online using the Socratic method. This is why the Socratic method was so interesting when John brought it up with the testimony with General Kellogg, because that's what Q would do. Q would post questions, and mostly related to how swampy government is, the corruption and the shenanigans going on. And it would cause people to try to answer those questions. And in order to answer those questions, they'd have to do a ton of research. And a lot of people learned how to research during that period and find the truth. And so much so that the anonymous anons, we call them anons, the anonymous people who were researching after looking at those drops would go and find a lot of information that was not, it was open source on the internet, but it was not easily obtained unless you were looking for it. And they were so influential that information was starting to spread. And this is when all of the censoring started happening. So censoring didn't just start happening with COVID and like doctors like Dr. Malone and all of that. That was in addition to, but the anons who were doing research to find the truth and spread it, they were under attack from all kinds of places to squash that, because the truth was starting to get out. It was starting to work. And if you notice, mainstream media started trying to make them look bad. And there are groups trying to make these people look bad as well. Groups that form that say that they have followed Q, but they They don't. They just say outrageous things. Now, is human trafficking and pedophilia and some of that a part of the exposure? Absolutely. Human trafficking is an epidemic. And so, yes, that's a part of it. But I'll just give an example. There was a group, I don't remember what state they were in, and that they were claiming that JFK Jr. was alive and going to be Trump's vice president and all that. So that's the kind of groups that try to make the group look bad, so that all the truth that people who actually do deep research and put information out there, so that they can't really, the mainstream media does not want them to be considered a reliable source. Okay, so I'm off my rant on that. It's just, I feel like part of setting the stage and saying there's a plan, I needed to clarify that, because it's not anything for what the mainstream media wants it to be. It's really citizen journalists doing research, because real journalists aren't doing their job, and exposing what's going on in the world. And thank goodness Elon bought Twitter, which is now X, because now we can share that information freely, because it was all being squashed. And a lot of people lost their accounts and had to create new accounts and rebuild up their following and all of that. All right, so I was on a soapbox, and let's see. In God We Trust says, during that time, we also learned to question everything. Yes. Even among our own. We've come so far. And you know what? We hold each other accountable. That is a really, really good point. We hold each other accountable. There have been times where I've posted something and somebody goes in chat and clarifies it for me. So I'll either remove my post or I'll follow up with a correction or something like that. I think it's really important that we all hold each other accountable. All we're after is the truth. Okay. So what came out of all of that is we believe that Trump was selected or asked to run, not selected, because not like politicians are selected today. But we believe that Trump was asked to run for president long before he ever did. And like maybe 10, 20 years before. I don't know how far back this goes. But the belief is that there has been a plan put in place to try to offset the overtake of America that was happening. And this has been happening for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, I promised you guys in last week's show that I would start with Ron Paul. Let me do that, because he kind of shares when he thinks everything happened. And I want to talk about that after. So let me quick share a clip of Ron Paul. And then I'll give credit to the folks that I got these two clips from after we're finished. But let's listen to, I still have the comment up. Let me take that down. Sorry, it's just me here. Okay, Ron Paul.
Made up my mind whether or not when people talk about World War III, and most people think in their mind about World War I and World War II is a certain type of war, tanks and bombs and airplanes and all that. And I can't quite visualize that. I think the world has changed too much. As a matter of fact, politics has changed a whole lot as well. But I've concentrated more recently on thinking about how do revolutions come about? Have there changes been made? Have we had a World War III to do it? And I'm arguing the case that we're in the middle of it and moving right along, that the revolution has been fought, and it is, there's been a coup. But I do believe there has been a coup and it's been taken over. And if I want to just put the date in my mind. And anybody could pick probably any date in the last 100 years. But I have picked November 22nd, 1963.
What happened on that day?
That was the day Kennedy was murdered by our government.
Wow.
By the CIA.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the hostile takeover of the American government by the spy agencies that, of course, have been becoming more powerful, less unaccountable by every decade. They've been doing more crazier things, and then we came to Iran-Contra. They've been getting away with so many crazy things. They'd never been held accountable, and for every decade, it's like, oh yes, the last decade, the CIA did something really horrible, but they were never held accountable for it, but they're definitely not doing it now. Well, they are.
But I thought you were going to say 1913.
Well, I think that was the groundwork. I start the intellectual changes a little bit before 1913. The date, I say it was concrete that there was a coup and we lost our government was November 22nd.
Yes.
The assassination of Kennedy.
That was 60 years ago. Yeah. And our lawmakers never talk about it.
But you mentioned to me earlier and brought back in memory. But do you know who they appointed to the commission? Alan Dulles.
He was on the Warren Commission.
Yeah.
So the guy who's responsible for the murder.
He probably was the most
was investigating the murder.
That's dawned on me. The Republic is gone. That's when I said the day it ended.
Mm-hmm. So Ron Paul, so the first clip actually, so Vigilant Fox, I want to give Vigilant Fox credit for the second clip, but the first clip I got from Liam McCollum on X, and he had posted that. But what's interesting with Ron Paul, so he thinks that the JFK assassination was a successful coup. And that's when we lost our country. Now, if you notice, Tim Pool says, I thought you were going to say 1913. And for me, I was thinking even the late 1870s, right, when I feel like we started losing our country about 100 years after we were formed. Because a lot has gone on the last 100, 120 years. But, I think he's right as far as, the last time we probably were able to really have a free and fair elections, but he mentioned the CIA. So I'm not going to get into all that because, there's, go to Pepe Lives Matter Substack. He did a whole deep dive on the JFK assassination and how the CIA was likely involved. I completely believe that the CIA was involved. There's so much evidence, but I think Ron Paul is right, technically speaking, even though things were setting the stage for this way ahead of time, like even when the CIA was formed, it was supposed to be temporary. But I think the actual, like the JFK assassination definitely was a coup. If you look at what's happened in society since then, I mean, I wasn't even born yet when he was assassinated. But I mean, we can look back and look through our lifetimes, regardless of what your age is. You can look back and see how exponentially things have changed in the last 20 or 30 years. So I think he might be right about that. He sort of pinpoints that time frame, but I'm going to pull this back up because I want to look at. Carrie, I agree, Nevs. Right after the Civil War is a real possibility. Exactly, 1870. Maybe the assassination of Lincoln was our first coup. Whoa. Okay, I'll have to follow up on that one. But yes, the bankers, yeah. Yep, London bankers didn't like Lincoln creating the American greenback with the zero interest. Yes. Then in the early 1900s, the Fed was formed. Oh, we've got a whole Fed show that Carrie and I did together. You guys should go watch. All right. So I was looking at this and I was scrolling down and look at this. This did not age very well. So they're trying to make Ron Paul look bad or sound bad. And this is like, I'm going off topic for a second here. He says this libertarian oddball couldn't win on a libertarian ticket because we know they're nuts. And then it said the 1980 Libertarian Party policy platform. This is hilarious. And I'm actually going to say, I'm going to be posting this saying it didn't age very well. To be abolished, Department of Energy, EPA, FDA, Occupational Health and Safety, FCC, FTC, all these CIA, Federal Reserve, Social Security, welfare, public schools, and taxation. Okay. He's making fun of the 1980 policy platform where they want to get rid of all these government agencies. And what has Trump done? He's brought in Elon Musk to create the Department of Government Efficiency. And I have a feeling a lot of these mentioned on here may just be going away. So, yeah. Hilarious. Okay, I digressed. So, because of Ron Paul, I think maybe a good place to start is with RFK Jr. Yeah. I'm going to start with RFK Jr. Was he a part of the plan all along? All right. I have a couple of highlights in here. See if we can get those videos not to go on like that. I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. This was published back in 2019. And they're talking about JFK Jr., how he coped with his father's assassination. And I think this is a good leadway or segue into RFK Jr. Because what JFK Jr. said is that Bobby knew everything. And he was talking about his uncle, Robert F. Kennedy, not Jr. All right, let me scroll down to my highlights here. So this is about John. They said he made a cryptic comment that Bobby knew everything, referring to Robert Kennedy, the president's brother, and his attorney general. It made me think that JFK's brother knew things the public and maybe the Warren Commission did not. So that's kind of interesting. I found this sort of last minute, so I didn't dig into everything that John might have said about his uncle, but I do find it interesting what maybe John or even Bobby's death in general, like Robert Kennedy, they call RFK Jr. Bobby too, so senior. I'll just call him senior. Robert Kennedy, you know, he was assassinated not that long after JFK when he was running for president. Let me see if I don't have any more highlights on here. So I found that first to be interesting, his comment there. And then People, which is part of MSM, did a piece on RFK Jr. that says he's leaning into the conspiracy that CIA was involved in his uncle's assassination. So I know you guys know that RFK Jr. has been very, very vocal about this, but consider that Ron Paul believes that that was a coup at that time. The people most prominent in knowing and communicating and putting it out there that the CIA was involved in this it's interesting, especially if they're close to Trump now. I don't know if, obviously it's a hypothesis or it's a theory that Trump was asked to run ahead of time. However, I wish I had the clip, because there was a clip of one of the generals literally saying they had asked Trump to run. I don't remember who that was. And man, I meant to have that clip, which was another clue into the fact that Trump was asked to run quite a while ago. So knowing that RFK has been putting this out there for quite a while, this was 2019 where they're kind of talking about him putting it out there, but I don't know if there's more that, yeah, I've got some highlights on here that I want to go over. So let me just go. So one of the things he said is, I think there's overwhelming evidence that the CIA was involved in his murder. And he's right. Like, there is overwhelming evidence. And again, like, even people here lay out, I'm pointing to my screen over here, even people lays out some of the links to some of the information. But again, Pepe Lives Matter did a huge dig, worth a read. If you guys haven't read it yet, I did a trailer video for his Substack. All right, so then we've got, they should just release the records. It's been 58 years, he said. Are they trying to seriously tell us they haven't had time to read them? Right, like, what's the reason for not putting the records out? His father, Robert, was assassinated in the same position, seeking the Democratic presidential nomination in 1968. And I think that's all I've highlighted there. So that's one thing, just the history of what RFK Jr. has with his family and what was going on with that assassination and all of that. All right, next up, he talked about his dad's death and the CIA. And this was from 2018, before, like a year before that other one that I was talking about. And here, one interesting thing is that he talks about how he thinks his father would be disappointed in what's happening in the political landscape in our country today. I think so too, and I think his uncle would be too. And his uncle, or his father, was assassinated just minutes after winning his primary. Just minutes after. This family was going to go after the people who were trying to take over our country. And that's, I truly believe that's why Robert Kennedy was also assassinated. I don't have anything else highlighted here. But one of the things I want to point out about his father is that his father had made comments too about the CIA and wanting to get rid of that organization. And yeah. All right.
One of the interesting.
Sorry. Okay, so this is another interesting thing that RFK Jr. has been talking about. So I think he's known for talking like about health and what people eat and all of that. And he's actually been exposing a lot of this overtake, if you will, the CIA, MK Ultra, all of that, all of those nefarious programs that have been in place that, for me, I don't think ever went away, even though they say they closed those programs like the Mockingbird, MK Ultra. They say that those programs no longer exist, but I think they do, and I think they just existed under a different name. But let's listen to Junior talk about one of the sub-programs of MK Ultra. This is from Pepe Lives Matter, who clipped this off of Roseanne Barr's show.
One of the interesting experiments that came out of MK Ultra is called the Milgram experiment. And the Milgram experiment, there was a Yale associate professor named Stanley Milgram, and he recruited about 70 people from every walk of life in New Haven, business people, students, working people, blacks, whites, etc. And he would bring them in to take part in this experiment, and he would put them at a table like this, and on the table there was a dial, and they were told that the dial was connected to a man who was sitting in the next room who was tied to a chair, and that when they twisted that dial, it would administer an electric shock, and that they were doing an experiment on him, right? They didn't tell they were doing the experiment on you.
Right.
And they were told by a guy who was a doctor, so a doctor was really Dr. Milgram, who was in a white lab suit, and he had, kind of badges on him that made him look like an authority figure. And he would tell them, okay, turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down. When they turned it up, they could hear the guy struggling and screaming and sometimes pleading and crying. And a lot of the subjects were saying, I don't want to do this anymore. Can I stop? And
I'm going to stop there because this isn't about MK Ultra, but the point being that he's out there exposing a lot of these nefarious programs that were going on to kind of brainwash and do mind control and that kind of stuff. And he's been out there exposing the CIA and that kind of stuff. So, but this is also setting the stage for me questioning, has RFK Jr. been a part of this all along? And that's what I'm going to start getting into now. So the first thing I noticed with RFK Jr. is he did an X post, and he said, should I run? Should I run for president? And his whole campaign, he says here, help me decide whether to run for president. Visit teamkennedy.com to volunteer or contribute. If it looks like I can raise the money and mobilize enough people to win, I'll jump in the race. If I run, my top priority will be to end the corrupt merger between state and corporate power that has ruined our economy, shattered the middle class, polluted our landscapes and water, poisoned our children, and robbed us of our values and freedom. Together we can restore America's democracy. So he reached out to people saying, should I run? And this was March of 2023. And so I'm thinking he knows that if he ran as a Democrat, that wouldn't work because, you've got the big machine there deciding who's going to be the candidate. And so he ended up running as an independent. And, he knows that there's no way an independent will get the majority of the votes between the two major parties. So my question, the thing I was thinking about, especially knowing now that he's going to be a pretty big part of Trump. I mean, it's going to be huge. He'll be able to control some of the regulations around food. He'll be able to get rid of the bad stuff and bring in the good stuff, our health, and a lot of that. And has been huge as far as infiltration in the United States. And he's really been pushing that, during the whole COVID time. And so it just makes me, looking back, it just makes me wonder if he hasn't been in talks with Trump for, I don't know, at least the last 4 years, if not more. Because if you look back, you would see that Trump was friends with John F. Kennedy Jr. before he passed. So he was friends of the family. He was close to the family. And it just, it just makes me question things, because now, as you can see, now obviously when he posted this, his link did not show this, but it shows it now. So now he has teamkennedy.com forwarding to mahanow.org. So if you click on teamkennedy.com, it will take you, oh, you can't see when I click the link because it opens in a new window, but it takes you to the Make America Healthy Again website. So I found that interesting. The other interesting thing is that when RFK ended up dropping out, it's, well, first of all, Trump's got all these like old school Democrats and independent people kind of working with him. And RFK Jr. is just one of that kind of group. It's RFK Jr., Tulsi, Elon. You know, he's got others that have been independent in the past. But that's why I'm covering those three, because they're pretty major. They have not been known in society to be right wing. And but I'm just thinking they might have been in Trump's camp this whole time. All right, so the next thing was when he dropped out, they were really promoting the fact that he was dropping out, and they said it was going to be the biggest event ever. So like Just the News had a headline that RFK Jr. to address the nation on Friday as rumors swirl of his withdrawal. And his campaign person, who used to be a liberal, and she actually went to the convention to say that, or maybe it was rallies or something, to say that this is the first time she's a first-time Trump voter. Well, let's listen to her.
Let me ask you just one direct question.
Yeah.
Should we have our ear to the ground? Is something going to come soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Friday is going to be one of the biggest.
I have to correct myself. She was a candidate for vice president. I thought she was on his campaign. Sorry about that.
Events in American election history.
What time? Where should I tune in?
The details will be shared.
Where?
Go to Bobby's X account, and Team Kennedy will be releasing a press release as well.
Okay, you heard that. So let's all.
So basically, where am I? I'm trying to find my spot here. So they're saying it's going to be a big event, and basically it was him supporting Trump, and then oh my goodness. Oh, and Trump responded too.
Can I ask you about RFK?
Can I ask you guys a question about Trump? Do you guys think he has a tell? When I feel like he has a tell. Like you can tell based on his facial expressions when he's strategically communicating something intentionally. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like
just moments ago,
I feel like I can just see that sometimes. All right, sorry.
Can I ask you about RFK? Because just moments ago, his running mate said that they were considering endorsing you. Have you considered him for a role in the administration, and what role would that be?
Well, we haven't, but I would love that endorsement because I've always liked him.
Would you also consider putting him in the administration?
You're asking me a very unusual question. I haven't been asked that question yet. I like him a lot. I respect him a lot. I probably would if something like that would happen.
I like him a lot. I respect him a lot. I don't know. There's just something about sometimes when he's answering questions, it's hard to pinpoint what I'm talking about. But then Trump Jr. told him to go to town.
See it, I know RFK, I know some of that team. Don't agree on everything, but like I think he'd actually be a great person to put in on certain agencies and just let him go to town, let him blow stuff up, like let him fix the stuff. I mean, he's incredibly well versed on a lot of things, and understandably, like me and like my family, probably has a gripe with some of the government. And
and he says, I know him, and all of that. So anyway, RFK Jr., I really do think, just based on the families knowing each other and his passion for knowing that the CIA and that a lot of shenanigans are going around and that they're purposely doing stuff to our food, all of that, I definitely think he's been a part of this team for quite a while. It's just a hunch. I can't prove it. Not that RFK Jr. has the strongest evidence. I think Tulsi probably, well, or maybe even Elon, but which we'll get into now. We'll start talking about them. Do I do Tulsi first or Elon first? Maybe we'll talk about Elon first. I wanted to talk about the history of his businesses first. Time has a really good article. I know they're mainstream media, but they actually go through the timeline of Elon and when he started his various businesses. So this was published a couple of years ago. And they knew he was going to take over Twitter. So this is why this article came about. I don't need to go through all his businesses, but he basically started in the mid-90s with his businesses. The thing that one of his baby passions was this X.com, which now we have X. Twitter has turned into X. But this was an online bank. And he ended up, I don't know if they changed the name or what, but he ended up selling his online payment stuff. Okay. He created PayPal separately. I see. So basically, he started X.com in 1999. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because I won't be informing you of anything because I haven't done my due diligence. But PayPal is interesting. Okay, I am right on that. Okay, it merged with a software company, X did, and he formed PayPal. And he was the original founder of PayPal, in case you didn't know. I think that's been going around for a few years. I think most of you might know. So he's been very entrepreneurial since the mid-90s, basically, creating all kinds of software companies. And what's really funny is I've seen a lot of, well, I'm not going to get into that. I've seen a lot of criticism of him that he's gotten lucky and he's not really that smart. And I'm like, come on, guys. He owns SpaceX. His cars can drive themselves. Oh, my goodness. You just can't believe everything you see. But anyway, so PayPal was once named at one point one of the worst business ideas of 1999. But I'm not here to talk about PayPal. But I do want to go through his history. So 22 years ago, I can't even believe it was 22 years ago that SpaceX was formed. So he formed that shortly after PayPal. So then he started SpaceX, exploring space. So this is the one that kind of interests me the most, is the fact that he started SpaceX. And it's almost like SpaceX sort of took over for NASA, if you think about it. So he started this in 2002. Barack Obama became president in 2008 and kind of dismantled the space exploration from the U.S. government. And, Trump thinks Elon is brilliant. So, yeah, exactly. Oh, Lil Wolf says, yes, he has a tell when he wants to. Yes, the intentional tell, not the accidental tell. Yes, exactly. And it's hard to describe. All right. So I think SpaceX was a part of starting things. 2002. Think about John F. K. Jr. died in 1999. I believe Trump was friends with him. You can see pictures of them together. I think Trump likely knew Elon too. And it's been said that it's military that has been the ones to want the swamp drained and America to come back. And that they are the ones that approach Trump. And if you follow the Q drops, a lot of them talk about how some things have to be done through the military because every single branch of our government has been infiltrated. Every single one. Every industry, think about that. Every industry has been infiltrated. Schools, hospitals, universities. Actually, universities were one of the very first. It's almost like they might have tested infiltration into universities way back in the late 1800s. It seems like that's where infiltration started. But it's gone to the government. It's gone to Hollywood, everywhere, every industry, even ones you would think would be conservative. And, it blows my mind that can happen, But he started SpaceX. Now think about this. When Trump was in office, he announced a brand new arm of the military, Space Force. So that's just a connection to keep your mind on. The timing is just kind of interesting. So he created SpaceX, but also he created Starlink. Starlink is, the internet is sort of a monopoly. There's a lot of control over the internet. It's almost like freedom of the internet. I think it's in its infancy, but I think it's going to be a huge game changer. And if you think about Starlink, think about Space Force. Space Force has been putting satellites out there for monitoring for cyber attacks and that kind of stuff. Elon creates SpaceX, uses SpaceX to be able to deliver Starlink satellites everywhere. Everybody can see them. Everybody knows about them now. You see the little trains in the sky. It looks like Santa and his reindeer floating in the sky. I never thought about that till just now. I guess maybe because Christmas is around the corner. But it just makes me think that maybe Starlink and SpaceX are involved in other things that we just aren't aware of. And he also created a foundation in 2002. I haven't looked deep into his foundation, so if anybody has comments on anything related to his foundation, you can let me know. But it did talk about supporting renewable energy, pediatric research and education, and developing safe artificial intelligence. So he was a part of the founding of OpenAI, and this is going to be interesting. He's got Grok now instead, and I don't know what's going to come of OpenAI, but I don't know if AI can be used for good for some of these things. I do believe all the people surrounding Trump and Trump, like, I feel like they have a mission to completely get rid of corruption and just all the problems with government. And Carrie, I'm going to call you out because you made a really good comment to me. I hope you're okay if I repeat this. I want to find it because it was just, or did you put it in my chat? Okay. You know what? I don't remember if you put it in my chat or private message. So I'm just going to speak to it and you can, Carrie, uh-oh. No, uh-oh. But basically, Carrie made a statement about how governments aren't evil, that it's the people that go into government that's evil, that governments are actually put in place for good, but then people go in that don't have good intentions. And so it's not really that we're anti-government. You know, I completely believe that we need a federal government to keep our country safe, keep our borders secure, and that's about it. But and other necessary type things. And I'm sorry, Carrie, I don't know your exact words because I don't remember where you put it. But that was Carrie's point earlier today, is that, you know, governments are essentially there for good, but it's the people that bring the bad. Government was created by God to lessen evil and protect the innocent. Oh, thank you, Carrie. Thank you for clarifying. It was in private DM. Thank you. I think there were just so many. I didn't want to have people wait while I pulled it up. But Trump, when he was in office in 2016, he was asked by reporters about draining the swamp, and he made a statement. Yeah, he wants to drain the swamp, but he didn't realize how deep it was. And I don't know, maybe he didn't realize that. I don't know. All right, so I talked about OpenAI. I'm going to skip Neuralink because a lot of people, it's controversial. I think he's trying to use it for good, but I'm not going to be all pro Elon. I don't dig Neuralink myself. I don't think we should be putting chips in people for any reason. God made you the way you are. And, you know, if you have a disability, there's a reason that God put you in that position. Just like, you know, we all face challenges, and I feel like there's a reason for the challenges that we face in our lives. I have had a challenging 2024. All right. The next one, this is really an interesting business that he started. And look at the year he started it. 2016. This is the Boring Company. Elon is digging tunnels underground. Founded with the intention of helping dispel city traffic via underground tunnels as a subsidiary of SpaceX. Think about these connections, the dots that we could connect with this. The Boring Company is one of Musk's side projects. Its aim, build tunnels. Its aim isn't clear up traffic. Its aim, build tunnels. So here's the thing. A lot of people believe that drugs and human trafficking is able to be done through underground networks. And I'm not talking about hidden networks, literal underground ways to travel underground. Just like with some of the human trafficking things, if you think about a lot of places in Hollywood, somebody just posted in my Telegram channel, and I apologize, I don't remember who it was, but I had posted a thing about a video. Somebody gave a really good dig on Laurel Canyon, because there was somebody who died in a house fire there who claimed to be a Rothschild, but it was found he wasn't a Rothschild. So people started digging on where he lived, and it was Laurel Canyon. There's all this history about Laurel Canyon. But, it was discovered there was an underground network of tunnels where all the houses connected to each other. And with all the things going on in Hollywood, all the Diddy stuff, somebody was talking about how Hugh Hefner's home has underground connections to a lot of Hollywood places, and it's been suspected there was human trafficking going on there. One of the things that people have been talking about is the military wanting to go in and rescue people through the tunnels. This was actually documented in some documentaries, and destroy those tunnels. So interesting that 2016, Donald J. Trump is elected president. Elon has created a rocket ship company. Starlink was created as like Elon says it's for internet access, but obviously it's for communications of some sort that can't be done on our existing infrastructure. Then Elon creates a company that's going to go dig underground and build tunnels. It's interesting. A lot of people coming to the United States from Mexico, too, were doing it from underground. There's a lot there, but it just makes you go, are they all working together? Are they all working together to help people? That's the feeling I'm getting from all of this. All right. Then Twitter. He bought Twitter. This was incredible. And the timing on this was incredible. So after a couple of years of full censorship and the election being stolen, and I am going to say that in my opinion, allegedly, the election was stolen. Then after Trump left office, the powers that be doubled down on everything. They doubled down. They did on the lockdowns, on censorship, and trying to control people, not allowing people to travel, having people required to take the vaccine or they lose their job. Like dystopia on steroids was starting to happen. And a lot of things were just being sort of accepted. A lot of true information was being squashed, and on every platform. So Elon now, he's coming in and he jokes around about, should I buy Twitter? I think I'll be pulling up some of his tweets on this. So the timing is amazing because in the Q drops, it says, sometimes you can't tell people, you have to show them. And Trump had left, and I posted this like last week's part 1 show. I kind of ended with Trump saying, we're going to take a break for a while in his goodbye speech. Or he was sad that, or maybe it wasn't even, no, it was a rally where he was running for president. We had to take a break. And Trump many times has mentioned that it's a good thing people are seeing this for what it is. And people around Trump have been saying these things. And then Elon comes in after we've been allowed to be exposed to these horrible things, and even inflation went sky high and all this stuff. People were being canceled left and right, people's money being taken. Banks were canceling people, guys. Just go, Pepe Deluxe is one person who talked about his business money being kept from him, from his bank. Thousands of dollars. So Elon comes in, buys Twitter. He very slowly starts bringing accounts back that were canceled. He still hasn't brought them all back, but he's been slowly, like, then he opened up Trump's, and Trump thanked him for doing that. Like, he was accepting of that. So we're going to get into their relationship in a minute. But I just think the timing of this is incredible, because it gave us 2 years to see, for people to be shown, and then another year or two for the truth to start getting out there, and us to see the contrast of everything, and see mainstream media still panicking and still trying the propaganda route, but it's not working, and seeing them panic and seeing what they do when they panic. The timing has been incredible. Let's see. In God we trust. The biggest question is, are the folks who are highlighting saving the whole world? Yes. Well, so they say, so goes America, goes the world, right? And let's see. Carrie responded with, I think the world's been affected with the ripple effect, and also there are some leaders who are part of the plan. I think the entire world will benefit. Yeah, what world leaders do you think, Carrie? I'm super curious what you think about that. But you know what? It's been a global awakening. Everybody's been waking up. Look at all of the 2020 through 2022, all of the global protests of people speaking out saying, we won't take the vaccine, we won't let you lock us up. Thousands and thousands of people. Like, you look at all these different countries, like, look at the truckers in Canada. Look what was happening in France, in Italy, everywhere, Australia, and all over the world. People were standing up, and not just a few people. Like, we're talking 100,000 people, 200,000 people, millions of people around the world were waking up. They were standing up. They were speaking up. And it was incredible. And then X comes along and lets us actually speak. And you know what I loved, when after he bought X, and he was asked about the I think comments from the CEO of Disney, or in advertisers or something like that. Go F yourself. He was saying, go F yourself. Okay, I spent a long time on this one. I really didn't mean to, but I think the history of his businesses, and where they were, is really important. All right, so Trump backed Elon up. Back in 2020, before Trump was completely canceled, while he was still president, when there were lockdowns, Elon wanted to open up his plant, and it's still in California back then. So Elon has moved his headquarters, but California should let Tesla and Elon Musk open the plant now. It can be done fast and safely. And he says, thank you, Elon. Thank you for standing up for American workers in California. So anyway, I just wanted to show that, because I thought it was kind of cool. And then New York Magazine has this article, weird and upsetting facts about upsetting facts. Give me a break. 2022. So they went on a full attack mode when Elon bought Twitter. All right. I've got a couple things highlighted here. First, and this is interesting, and I don't know why they think it's weird and upsetting. Elon Musk thinks his father is evil. So they quote him, and he said, he was such a terrible human being, he told the Rolling Stone in 2017, weeping. My dad will have a carefully thought out plan of evil. He will plan evil. You have no idea about how bad. Almost every crime you can possibly think of, he has done. Almost every evil thing you could possibly think of, he has done. So this was new to me. Did you guys know about this? I did not know that he had talked about his father being so evil. I know we've looked at people around him. Definitely, I think there were evil forces trying to get to Elon, because I think he is going to change the world with Trump. But I didn't know about his dad. I did know about like his ex-wife. I think we've seen weird, symbols and things with what his ex-wife was involved with, and things like that. But I didn't know about his dad. This kind of shocked me. But then they go on to say, Musk has a good point. Errol shot and killed 3 people and had a baby with his own stepdaughter. Did you guys know that? So if we think about draining the swamp, I'm just going to call it draining the swamp, which is basically getting rid of corruption and the evil globalist agenda, all of that. If you think about that, coming from a background like this, wouldn't you want to change the world too? Wouldn't you want to get rid of evil? Yeah, I do think evil forces have been trying to be around Elon, and I think God is making moves right now and changing things. Did you see him on Babylon Bee when he was interviewed? They asked him if he would accept Jesus Christ into his heart, and he was pretty open to considering that, which was pretty cool. There's been a revival happening for a few years now. A lot of people have moved and gotten closer to God. Hey, I'm one of them. As I told you guys, I've always been Christian, but I haven't been this Christian, like real when I'm not posting and not like on a show or whatever, like thinking about God in everything I do, and really trying to understand the Bible better and giving the glory to God when something good happens and even when something bad's happening. So I think we have to think that could be happening with Elon as well. I'm hoping it is. And actually, I pray that it happens with everybody. We're supposed to pray for our enemies. And, as bad as some people are, you can't say, yes, I do, but not this person, because they've done such horrible things. Like, we have to pray for all of the people who have done horrible things, including like Hillary Clinton, Bill Gates, Adam Schiff. I pray for them. I really do. So, okay. Anyway, I'm going to move on from this, but I thought it was pretty cool. Actually, no, I think I have one more thing highlighted on here. Where is this? Yes. Okay, here's what's interesting. So Elon was sort of boasting about Truth Social and kind of bragging that Truth Social was beating out the other big tech companies on the app stores. Uh, so they said here, he made a call for Twitter togetherness and a call for unbridled joy, talking about Truth Social. So I'm going to pull that reference tweet up right now. So Elon, when Truth Social was coming out, he posted this. The Truth Social is currently beating Twitter and TikTok on the App Store. And he posted how they are number one. So it's interesting that he posted this. Like, they tried to have it come off as Elon and Trump were going to duke it out, and Trump was never going to come back to Twitter. And then Elon even made a comment about, what a stupid name, Truth Social. What a stupid name. It should have been called X, or he said something. I shouldn't have said X, but I use that as like a filler, fill in the blank kind of thing. So kind of like, I think Trump and DeSantis back and forth was kayfabe. I think some of the stuff with Elon was too. I just have a feeling they've been buddies for a while, especially look at how their relationship is now. It's kind of interesting. Elon is spent his own time and millions of dollars to spread the word across the East Coast about truth, to get people to vote for Trump. It was pretty incredible. Little Wolf, you're correct. Forgiving and praying for those who have done so evil to you or others is what Jesus asks us to do, and it is truly liberating in ways you simply can't put into words. Yeah. Amen. That's right. Amen. That is right. All right. So I just found that interesting. Plus, it was mentioned in that article, so I thought I'd pull it up. There's also an article. Okay, I really want to get through Elon. I'm almost done with Elon, so we can get to Tulsi. Her stuff's fascinating. And I can get through her quickly, too, because I know we're over an hour already. How'd that happen? So this was posted back in 2022. Elon and Donald Trump now own rival social networks. Here's a timeline of their rocky relationship. Oh, my goodness. However, former President Trump says he's very happy that Elon Musk now owns Twitter. They said they've had a tumultuous relationship over the years. Kayfabe, I'm telling you. I think kayfabe was probably going on for a while. In July, Musk said Trump should sail away into the sunset, and Trump called Musk a bullshit artist. It's total. And, he did it with DeSantis, too. I know he did. In November 2016, Musk says Trump is not the right guy for the job. Yet Elon Musk creates, what was it? The 2016 creation? Oh, the tunnel thing. The Boring Company. That's not boring. I bet it's interesting. Oh, they've got all these funny quotes in here. And then 2016, Musk is appointed to Trump's advisory council. So Musk is putting him down in 2016, but then he's appointed to an advisory council. It's kind of funny, you guys. I think we need to dig into their relationship more, because I did kind of a rush job on it. I'm going to admit, but I found some interesting things anyway. And then Musk cuts ties with the White House in protest of Trump's environmental policies. Now, Musk is... Here's what's interesting. Trump bragged. You know how they talked about how Trump's not an environmentalist. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, Trump actually, if you look at the actions he took and the executive orders he did and what he had directed to be done, like cleaning up the forests, cleaning up water, he had a lot of pro-environmental policies where, you know how they measure the CO2 in the air, or the carbon footprint or whatever, it actually lowered under Trump. It lowered under Trump. Pretty incredible. So I find this hard to believe, but it's kind of funny. And then in 2020, Trump says Elon is one of our greatest geniuses. Now, forgive me, these pictures are not showing up because I'm on the archive version because they have deleted this article, of course. So Trump praised Elon's accomplishments and intelligence. And then 2020, he backed up Musk in a feud with California COVID rules, which I showed you that tweet. I showed you guys that. And then Musk reinstated Trump's Twitter account, which was right after he took over Twitter. He did that almost immediately. Musk called the ban a morally bad decision and foolish to the extreme. In an interview with Financial Times, Twitter kicked Trump off its platform following the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. That was unheard of. You take a sitting president, even if it was a past president, removing them from your platform. And I think people started getting like desensitized to some of this censorship because this is very, very 1984. Very much. Then right after that, Trump called Elon Musk a bullshit artist. Right after Elon... If this is not kayfabe, what is, you guys? Come on. This is kayfabe. All right. Then, this is interesting. In July, Trump, he's always right. Trump is always right. Remember that. He never lies. He really doesn't. Okay. In July, Trump took aim at Musk, claiming the businessman voted for him, but then he later denied it. So Elon denied voting for Trump, but Trump says he told him he voted for him. And then here, Musk said the other day, "Oh, I've never voted for a Republican." Trump said during a Saturday rally in Anchorage, Alaska, "I said, I didn't know that. He told me he voted for me. So he's another bullshit artist." Oh, good night, Natalie. Natalie has to go to bed. Sorry. I'm a little bit long tonight. And then Musk said Trump's claim wasn't true. So then in July 2022, just 2 years ago, Musk says Trump shouldn't run again. And he stopped short of attacking Trump personally, but said he shouldn't run for president again. And honestly, I feel like some of the kayfabe was needed strategically because the mainstream media started getting on Musk after he bought Twitter, but they kind of didn't go too hard. If he was all in Trump's camp, they probably would have tripled down on what they did. What they did was horrible. So there was a whole concerted effort, and Musk is actually fighting this legally. It's a legal battle where there was coordination on getting advertisers to try to take X down, basically. And so it's very necessary to have some kayfabe sometimes to be able to navigate through the battles in the battlefield. And then Trump lashed out again in July of 2022. Then Trump cheered on Musk's deal, but says he won't return. So all this back and forth. Anyway, I found this article to be pretty hilarious. All right. Next is then Trump, Musk bought Twitter, which is super cool. And, but here's the interesting thing. He had posted before he bought it, is a new platform needed? Just because of all the censorship and whatnot. And someone replied to him saying, just buy Twitter. and changed the bird logo to a Doge. I'm bringing this up for a reason. He said, haha, that would be sick. So Doge meaning, think of cryptocurrency, Doge, money, money-wise. So he has always promoted Doge, and I'm not going to get into details on Doge, but I do want to point out some things about Doge. But I'm going to go to a couple other things first. Just remember this post where he said, as promised. It's really interesting. The whole Doge thing is very interesting. All right. Then he posts that the Doge doggo is going to be the new CEO of Twitter and that he's amazing, which is just kind of cute. Let's see. I probably should have gone to this one earlier. I don't know if I'm going to even go. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to just call this out really quick before I get into the Doge stuff. All right. So, mainstream media tested to see how Elon Musk has changed his political views. And so, what they say here, to work out what subjects preoccupy Mr. Musk, well, they're preoccupied with Mr. Musk, to be honest with you, and how his views have changed over time, The Economist analyzed his activity on Twitter as it was, and then as it became in 2023. So as of 2023, they're saying that Elon Musk, basically his views changed. So they used artificial intelligence to go through all of his posts between December 2013, so 11 years of his posts they went through. We found he is posting far more often and with far more political bent. Climate change and clean energy used to be the policy that he opined on the most, but now it bangs on immigration and free speech. So it's interesting that they did this analysis, and it will be interesting when we get to Tulsi, because you may see a similar thing, only a little bit different. And then they talk about how he posts much more. Of course he does. He bought the company, so he's obviously has to promote the company and want people to stay on there. I just found this interesting, especially the topics that shifted. So he's suddenly more bold to speak about a lot of, I don't even know if I'd call them conservative. They call like the middle and more independent thinkers far right extremists, and they're really like not extreme at all and not radical. It's more people that are sort of in the middle. And if you recall, when Elon bought Musk, he said he wants the target audience to be those people in the middle that are in the middle, lean left, lean right, and that the people that are on the extreme ends won't end up liking Twitter. They'll go to their own like echo chambers. So that's actually what's happening. But what's happening is mainstream media is trying to put a narrative out there that it's actually extreme, that to be sort of in the middle, logical, wanting to know the truth, wanting to research, wanting to hear all opinions, that's extreme. And so I find that very fascinating. So Elon doesn't really, I don't know that his opinions on things change over time. I just think his speaking out on certain things has changed over time. And some of that has been instigated by the regime that's in place that feels emboldened to open our border and to censor people. So maybe that's why his views have changed. It's not that his views changed, it's just that we showed them instead of telling them, right? Sometimes you can't tell them, you have to show them. Oh, carry on the back and forth with Trump and Musk. They must have had a blast insulting each other. I do think that was what they were doing. So anyway, I'm going to move on. By the way, if you want to follow Elon's Boring Company, they are on X. And I might start following. Well, I am following now. But they've got 1 million followers. It's just Boring Company. And it's just got a black logo. How boring. How boring for the Boring Company. But I think there may be some interesting comms if we follow this account. I think we might have to follow this account. All right. Moving on. Doge. Okay. He's known as the Doge father. Dogecoin was once a joke, but the meme coin gained traction after Elon Musk backed it. So now he's called the Doge father. He's known as the father of Doge. So he made Dogecoin popular, and it's really, really interesting. So with that, with his Doge and him buying Twitter, saying that Doge was going to be the CEO, I just find that interesting now that he is heading up this Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, and tell me that wasn't on purpose. That Dogecoin was introduced as a joke, right? And it came out of an internet meme of a dog, and someone accidentally called it Doge or whatever, and then Dogecoin was created, and it was a whole sensation, right? So I don't think that was an accident. I think it was all intentional the whole time. How long has it been around anyway? How long has it been around? I don't know how long Dogecoin. Do you guys know how long this Doge and the joke? Oh, what the Doge? 2018 is when it happened. That's interesting timing too. Yes. What the Doge? It's the biggest and oldest meme coin and the second biggest proof of work cryptocurrency, created in 2013 as a joke by developers Billy Marcus and Jackson Palmer. I haven't dug into Billy Marcus and Jackson Palmer. What are they doing today? Who are they? What are they doing today? The idea was to poke fun at the huge number of altcoins and crypto projects entering the market. So the whole Doge thing is super interesting. I think that was planned all along from the very beginning. Elon seems to really love a good joke and a good journey. He is all about a fun experience. I can just imagine how he's directing his UX designers on software that he owns, and even some of the hardware like the self-driving cars and stuff. He thinks about how people feel as they go through things. And I think he thinks draining the swamp can be a fun project. And I think it's going to be, for instance, he's going to make it transparent. He's going to be posting all the things we get rid of. And he's going to have a leaderboard for people who get rid of the most inefficient things. I don't remember how he put it, something like that. Then after this, then he changed his logo to the Doge dog. He literally did. Oh shoot! Darn it! I hope I have the. I think this is behind a paywall. Yeah. Shoot, I wanted to show you guys because there was a picture. I wonder if it's here. I wonder if this has a picture of it. So you know how the logo is on Twitter with the X and whatnot? Let's see if they have a picture of it here. No, I don't think they do. Darn it. Okay. So you see where the X is up here on Twitter here? This was the dog, the Doge dog. That was he literally had that as the X logo before it was X. He changed the Twitter logo from a bird to a dog. And it was a crack up. It wasn't for a long time either. And then a lot of people were posting about Elon buying Twitter, how it could be huge for Doge and crypto generally, because Elon, whenever he posts something, it like affects the price of things. And so a lot of mainstream media and different places were talking about how he's going to impact the financial services industry, which is kind of interesting too. So a lot of those kind of articles have gone out, and let me see. I just want to see what's important to cover because Elon's Musk dog added 500 million to Dogecoin's market cap in 15 minutes. Oh, that's behind a paywall too. Darn it. Okay. I think because of these darn paywalls, I'm going to stop there and we can talk about Tulsi really quick. I know my first show was long. This one's going to be a little longer than normal, but Tulsi, I don't have as much as I had on Elon. Elon, I had a lot of stuff on. So let me get my Tulsi stuff. I think I'm just going to talk about her history a little bit first because it's interesting. So she came on the scene. Well, she's been around for a while, but I don't remember what they said she used to do. What was she doing? But, okay, she came on the scene around 12-ish years ago. I think 2012 or sometime during the time Barack Obama was in office. And what's interesting about her is that she was a Democrat. She declared herself a Democrat. The left called her an up-and-coming star of the Democrat Party. So she had impressed the powers that be. She had a huge upset in 2012 to unseat. What was that? Yeah. It was a very popular Democratic politician that she beat in Hawaii's in a specific congressional district. She ran for Congress, and there's a super popular mayor in that area, and she swamped him. She attended Democratic events, and she got eyes on her from some big folks. So like Nancy Pelosi said she was going to be a rock star. She was an upcoming star, blah, blah, blah. So here's some of the things. Tulsi joined the military, and I'm going to pull up, I want to pull up a web page for reference so I give you guys the right dates. I should have probably because the media I have isn't related to her timeline and her background, but I want to speak to her timeline and her background. Because it's fascinating. All right. So she joined the military in 2003, and in 2012 is when she beat the popular mayor. Before that, she was involved in politics, in Hawaiian politics, state politics. And her father was actually a politician. Here's the interesting part. Tulsi Gabbard grew up in a highly conservative home. Her father was conservative and was a politician. She joined the military. And she joined the military in 2003. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that around the same time that SpaceX was formed? Didn't I say like 2002? Something like that? I think. Yeah, I think that's right. Sorry, I'm trying to go off of memory here. Anyway, she had gotten reelected to Congress the next couple of sessions. So she had been in Congress for a little bit, and before that, she was in her state Congress. But I want to talk about her military career because I don't think her political career matters that much, except for the fact that the Democrat Party took her in with open arms, called her a rising star, and that. But I want to talk about what she was involved in the military because she was in the Hawaiian National Guard. She entered in 2003. She had been promoted. First, she was a specialist. Then she was promoted to, what was she promoted to? Second lieutenant. And she was a part of the military police. But she served the Hawaiian Army National Guard until she transferred to the 351st Civil Affairs Command with the Army Reserve Unit. And she was assigned to the United States Army Civil Affairs and Psychological Operations Command. That was in June of 2020. Kind of interesting timing. At the very end of Trump's tenure of his first administration, just 6 months before he would leave office, she is assigned the Psychological Operations Command. So she had served in Iraq, Afghanistan, all kinds of places. So I actually do have an article about Tulsi and their suspicions of her. So I'm going to find that if you give me just a minute. Because they knew she came from a conservative background. Let's see. Let me see if this is it. Well, there is an article with her timeline that I had bookmarked, so I apologize about this. I will pull this up, but I want to find. I don't know why I didn't put these in order. I apologize. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'll pull up the timeline. And we can look at it together. All right. So this was posted this month, just last week. This is a Honolulu paper, and they go through some of the timeline from Tulsi. First, she had that political upset that I told you about, where she was able to oust the very liberal Democrat in the area, very well known liberal. So I talked about that. I wonder if this is the one that this might be the article I was actually looking for. No, because it's December. All right. So then they talk about how she became a rising star in the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi welcomed her into Washington, D.C. Nancy Pelosi singled her out for special attention. Gabbard's own interest began drifting to the national scene even then. So they talk about how, do you remember she would go on Fox News and stuff like that? But before that, they were like lifting her up and really getting her exposure. So my theory, I'll just give you my theory and then you can let me know what you guys think. There was a paper that interviewed her telling her, or just commenting that, not telling her, she had a written response, saying that they were concerned with her going in as a public figure in politics for the Democrat Party because they were worried about what her stance on the issues would be because she comes from such a conservative background. And her response was interesting. She said, and I'm going to share a personal thing because it just clicked with me. She said, serving in Afghanistan, in Iraq, she got to see how women were treated and that she has since changed her mind on some of the issues for, like, as if she was saying she's becoming more of a feminist, right? So that was her explanation. I summarized it very shortly, but they fell for it. They took that as an excuse. So I just want to share my experience living in the Middle East made me very conservative. So I'm just thinking, I saw the same thing she did. And what it did for me, and I think what it probably did for her too, but I do think I think she's been conservative the whole time. You know how we have rhinos? I think she was a dino. So what happened with me is I saw those same things, how women were treated, oppressed, blah, blah, blah. But I came home like loving my country, crying when I saw the flag, wanting to kiss the ground when I got home, whenever I came back home. And it made me respect other cultures, but at the same time appreciate America for the freedoms that we have. And it didn't mean I didn't become like progressive or leftist from that. I actually appreciated our values of freedom and conservatism, really republicanism, because we are a republic, and just loved our country. So I have an inkling that she has been conservative the whole time. I mean, you would see her interviews on TV and it'd be like, she's a Democrat? Well, at least that's one Democrat I can like a little bit. The whole time I've seen her. You know, I don't know if you guys feel the same way or whatever, but that's kind of how I felt. But anyway, so she promised like that she would go after some of these feminist kind of ideas and have an international yoga day, that kind of stuff. Anyway, So then it says by her second term in Congress, so that got her the in. She's in. So she started with the local. She kind of did what they did. You know how they kind of infiltrated the Republicans? Well, I feel like she infiltrated the Democrats and that it was a plan all along. If you think about it, she was in the military. She was in psychological operations at the same time that all these other things were happening, like right after JFK Jr. died, after Elon started SpaceX and Starlink, you know what I mean? After all of that kind of stuff. So that's when she comes on the scene. She starts getting her way into the state government, then on the national stage, and that takes time. And it was during Obama's last term that she got in on the national stage. So I find the timelines fascinating. So it says that she was more and more finding herself crosswise with the Democratic establishment in Washington. And she challenged Barack Obama for his unwillingness to use the term Islamic extremist. I remember this. I remember her going against Obama and being like, that's a Democrat? Wow. Anyway, so she became more and more bold about speaking out. And it's always been about conservative policies, really. So I find it interesting that she is where she is today. All right. So then they just talk about how by the end of 2015, she was turning more and more of her attention to conflicts in the Middle East. She's very passionate about the military, what's going on, why our people are dying and don't need to be, that kind of stuff. But also she had opinions that went against the establishment narrative as to what's going on in the world. So she called for an end to U.S. efforts to oust Syrian government leader Assad back in 2015. Look what just happened right before Trump takes office. So she made a call to stop the attempts to do that. 2 years later, she would very much be in the spotlight for taking a secret trip to Syria to meet with Assad and for defending him against claims he was a bloodthirsty dictator who committed mass atrocities and war crimes. This is super interesting. They called her pro-Russia because of this. They accused her, Russia, guys. They accused her of being a Russian, what do they say? Russian, whatever. So she met with Assad, which is quite telling. It is very interesting. She met with Assad. She spoke out more and more. She talked about how our military should not be over in all the various areas, Afghanistan, Iraq, all those places. Like, she was always speaking out against war. She's an anti-war, pro-peace military person. Super interesting. And I want you to remember that because I am going to play a clip of her. She also became co-chair of the DNC, by the way. Did you guys know that? Did you know Tulsi became co-chair of the DNC? She ended up stepping down. And actually, I have a video. She ended up stepping down. And I want to play this video because she stepped down to support Bernie Sanders, of all people. Which is kind of shocking. But not shocking. Like, she wanted to step out of DNC. This was her reason for doing it. But you got to listen to, they ask her because she wanted somebody who's pro-military. But when she says pro-military, she means peace. And you got to see her answer to that when they ask her if Bernie Sanders is pro-military.
Tulsi Gabbard, Congresswoman from Hawaii, Democratic National Committee Vice Chair, has been at odds with her boss, DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for months over the Democratic presidential debate schedule. Congresswoman, you're here because you have an announcement to make regarding your position at the DNC. Tell us.
Well, first of all, I am resigning from the DNC so that I can support Bernie Sanders for president. I'd like to tell you why. As a veteran and as a soldier, I've seen firsthand the true cost of war. I served in a medical unit during my first deployment, where every single day I saw firsthand the very high human cost of that war. I see it in my friends who now, a decade after we've come home, are still struggling to get out of a black hole. I think it's most important for us as we look at our choices as to who our next commander-in-chief will be is to recognize the necessity to have a commander-in-chief who has foresight, who exercises good judgment, who looks beyond the consequences, who looks at the consequences of the actions that they are looking to take before they take those actions so that we don't continue to find ourselves in these failures that have resulted in chaos in the Middle East and so much loss of life.
But you know, it was just a month ago, and this was sort of got us curious about. A month ago, you said you think the next commander-in-chief needs to have a, quote, military mindset. You said this during an interview on Fox News. Does Senator Sanders have a military mindset?
From what I've seen, from talking with him and from his record, he does. And what that military mindset means is you go through an analysis process as you're looking at potential courses of action that you're going to take and how and when we use our military power. And just as importantly, when we don't use that military power, that military mindset says you have foresight. You look at what are the results, what are the consequences of these actions? How will other actors in the area react to those actions? What will we then do? And you continue down the line so you know exactly what you're potentially getting yourself into before you make that decision that ends up costing us lives and treasure.
Oh, I found that fascinating. It's really, really interesting how she has come up. This is her father, by the way. This is her dad. I found the article. This is the article that mentioned that they were worried. So this is her dad, and they called him very conservative in here. And I just wanted to show you a picture of him. I'm not going to go through the whole article because I kind of summarized the point I wanted to make. The point is she came from a conservative family. MSM was concerned about that. She convinced them that she was liberal. She even says that she changed after going overseas. And then she comes back, she gets into government, and as soon as she's on the national stage, she starts criticizing the president, espousing conservative values. I think it's just been a plan the whole time, and the Democrats helped kind of make her a star. And I'm so excited that she's going to be our DNI because she has quite an interesting background in the military. If you guys have time, I recommend you look it up. It's just that, we're going on 2 hours here, so I'm not going to get into her military background. I have a lot that I could get into, but one thing I do want to call out, she's very anti-war. And I just want to cover this. This is an article from 2019 that just is covering her. So, but I want to read out some of her quotes. She said, leaders in this country from both political parties looking around the world and picking and choosing which bad dictator they want to overthrow. So she's basically calling out like the color revolutions that we've been experiencing, how the CIA goes and decides who's going to lead a country. Remember Victoria Newland and all of her leaked tapes, that kind of stuff. And then it goes on to say, if there is a Gabbard doctrine about when, if ever, the U.S. should intervene overseas, it's clear circumstances under which President Gabbard, she was running for president at the time, would send U.S. forces are extremely limited. The only reason the U.S. should get involved, she said, is to keep the American people safe. Oh, fancy that. Wouldn't that be like refreshing if that's what we did? Unfortunately, there are very few examples of this justified use of military force. I think it's very telling that the last time Congress officially declared war was World War II. So we're in all these conflicts. We send our military overseas. They're dying in things that aren't even wars declared. They die going and trying to help other countries or getting involved in that kind of stuff. And then she also praised President Trump's decision to meet 3 times with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. So she's very pro-peace. She's pro-military as far as strength, peace through strength, and that kind of thing. But she's also been in psychological operations, so who the heck knows? She could be fooling us too, but I don't think so. You can kind of tell when you see these Democrats that come in and try to pretend that they are conservative and like that they're switching or they're independent now. And you can just tell they're just going to be rhinos, or they already are rhinos, or whatever. I don't get that feeling with her, at least not in my gut. I could be totally wrong. But then it goes on to talk about how she expressed skepticism that Assad had used chemical weapons. And now we know about the whole George Bush the whole thing with George Bush and 9/11, and all this has been going on since then, with Syria and Iraq, and all of that. But I want to summarize. RFK Jr., I believe, has been a part of the plan because of what happened with his father and his uncle, Robert Kennedy and John F. K. and JFK Jr., dying in that suspicious death in a plane crash, right when he was running for office too. Kennedys run for office, they get assassinated. And the Kennedys have expressed that they wanted to get rid of the intelligence agency's power. So I think RFK Jr.'s been on this for decades. I think Elon has been pulled into this for the last 20 years. I really do. I think this has been planned for a while. Probably the same time Trump has been likely involved and asked. And I do believe Tulsi, from the very beginning, from when she became an adult, the last 20 years, early, I don't know how old she is, but in her 20s, ever since her 20s, I think has been a part of the plan all along. She got installed into some psychological warfare areas, and I see the narrative that she tried to put out there, and suddenly she's moved, and now she's part of the GOP. So I feel like a big part of whatever the operation was to try to drain the swamp has happened, and so they're free to move on to the next phase. That's my belief. I believe these 3 people have been all together for quite a while. Not that maybe they haven't all collaborated together, but I think they've been a part of whatever's coordinating these things. I think there's been a plan to take America back. I think Ron Paul might be right that it was a coup in 1963 when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And I don't know. What do you guys think? I hope you learned something new out of this. I do want to bring back up Trump's reminder to us. I am going to fast forward this, so it's just a few seconds that I want to show you. But when Trump was speaking, I really believe that he knows that things are going to get better. And let's just be reminded about the wonderful future we have in front of us.
If our movement remains united and confident, then we will shatter the forces of tyranny and we will unleash the glories of liberty for ourselves and for our children and for generations yet to come. America's golden age is just ahead.
America's golden age is just ahead. And that's all I have. I know I took a long time, I think, to cover it. Let me know what you think. Put comments on the video because chat will go away. But I would love if you commented on the video, gave me your thoughts, or talked to me on Telegram or something like that. And give the video a thumbs up because I would really appreciate it. It would support me. And remember, you can go to linktree/NevsTV to support me. We got this. We have an amazing future ahead. Next week, Carrie and I, it's going to be on Thursday next week because Carrie has a prior commitment on Tuesday night. But we are going to cover a very cool Christmas special. And we are going to cover some interesting things. Let me pull up my list of what we're covering for Christmas. We are going to talk about what is Mary's story. We're going to ask, when was Jesus born? And what are miracles? And what are miracles, natural miracles versus supernatural miracles? And tie it all together to talk about what is the meaning of Christmas. I hope you join us. It's going to be Thursday, December 19th. At the same time, it'll be 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So we'll see you online. Thank you so much, everybody who stuck around and joined. And have a beautiful evening. See ya.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright